My question is, not only for me, but for people in my organization, is how we can work less and play more.
Think more and do less. Next. What we mean by that is, if you take the time to align thought so that you allow the universe to fill in appropriately, it requires far less action from you. And in the action that you're then not applying toward your work endeavor, you can play with it. So the answer is play more and work less, and then you'll be able to play more and work less. Did you write that down?
I did.
Play more and work less, and then you'll be able to play more and work less. But if you play and feel guilty because you think you should be working, you might as well be working. So you have to decide that playing is appropriate and allow yourself the playing. It's tricky because if you believe that you should work hard in order to make something happen, then you got to work hard to make it happen. If you believe that playing is lazy and unproductive, then you never feel really comfortable playing. And that's what goes on with so many. You've picked up these thoughts along your trail and made them dominant thoughts, and then you desire in opposition to your dominant thoughts, and then you can't get things lined up. So you have to reorient yourself. So let us ask you some questions. Now, we ask you to answer quickly, and don't give us the word you think we want to hear. Give us the word that first comes to your mind. And you can all call out if you want to, just for your own personal experience in this. As the virtuous being that you want to be, do you really think that it is better to work or to play?
Play.
Really, you really think that? You think that now. You think that now because we have influenced you to what, but now think about your children. So it's Saturday morning and you have a long list of things that need to be done, and this is the only opportunity, and they want to play. Do you want them to play, or do you want them to do their chores? Which is a virtuous thing? And how do you counsel them? Do you say, all right, kids, play? Or do you say, we've got some things that need to be done, and when we get our work done, then we can play? What is it, folks? In other words, you can't kid us. We read your energy. You do think that work is more virtuous and that play is more frivolous. And while you want to give yourselves permission to play, you've been programmed to believe that play is only when the work is done. And we're wanting you to realize that whether you call it play or work, let's not call it play or work anymore. Let's call it satisfaction. Let's call it meaningful experience. Let's call it joyous moments in time. Let's call it mining opportunities to feel good. So, mining an opportunity to feel good could be a very productive endeavor. In other words, to Esther, computer work is play, because she loves the expansion in it. Even though many would call it work, they go to work to do it. Esther doesn't see it as work, she sees it as play. So, we think it's the differentiation between my free time and my bondage time that is at issue here.
If I can give an example, a lot of us have to do follow-up work with prospects, and my organization gets very frustrated when they don't call back, and then 2 days later make the call again, or a week later make the call again. And it's kind of reminding me, it's like the universe. We called this person, I want them to call me back without having to keep making that phone call to try to reach them.
Well, do you want them to call you back if they don't want to call you back? In other words, do you want them to take the action no matter what their alignment is? Or would you really just like people to call you back who want to call you back? In other words, let's play it a little stronger. Let's say that you call someone who you love and they love you. And you say, call me back, and they call you right back. Now let's say you call someone who doesn't want anything to do with you. You really don't want anything to do with them. You say, call me back. You really want them to call you back? Feels like we're off the track here just a little bit. But stay with us. In other words, what's at the motive? Why do you want them to call you back?
Closure. For me, it would be just, okay,
Well,
we're
if
not
they don't
interested.
call back, we'd call that closure.
But the reason I say that...
Why does it have to be closure on your terms? Why can't it be closure on their terms?
I guess the reason I say that is because sometimes after keep trying to call somebody and finally reach them, they say, you've been on my mind, I'm really interested, I'm glad you kept you were persistent.
They're lying.
But they ended up going on. They ended up...
You asked us a question at the beginning that is so important for us to re-amplify here. You said, how can we have more play and less work? And we say, stop working where it's hard. Stop trying to squeeze blood out of a turnip. Understand that the timing isn't right yet. In other words, that's like stomping on the ground after you've planted the kernel of corn and saying, where are you, you bugger? I know you're in there. Come out where I can see you. I want to eat you. You say, well, that's ridiculous. I know that I must allow the growing of it. And in time, there will be a time for the plucking of the corn, but it isn't right now. And so, in very direct answer to your question, pick the fruit that's ripe and ready to be picked, and that which is resistant, let it ripen. The reason that you don't do that is because you're afraid it will ripen and somebody else will pluck it. So you're saying, I'll pick you while you're green, and I'll suffer with you, and I'll guard you, and I'll protect you, and I'll nurture you, and I'll work the life out of myself in the process until I'm feeling that I have no play and all work. And then, at some point, when you're ready, I'll be there. And we say, but you'll be a withered shadow of who you really are by then. In other words, let those who are ready call you back. In other words, those that are ready, it's easy when it goes. And if it's not easy when it goes, it's work, you say. It's resistance.
I can say
we know there's all those stories. All those stories they will tell you is that, oh, I'm so glad that you persevered with me, because if you hadn't, I wouldn't have come along. And we say, yes, I would have. Yes, I would have.
Well, it felt so good last night, just letting it all go and sitting down with a good book, and I had the best time and was feeling so good, saying it just doesn't matter.
And when you do that, those who are ready will be there. It is our expectation, watch for it, that things that felt stuck won't be Monday. In other words, in that releasing, you sort of allowed yourself to align. Something that happens is that you have these desires that are very clear, and then you're frustrated about what's happening, and in your frustration, you're not in alignment with your own desires. So even those who are ready for you can't come to you because you're out of alignment, you see. It's a process of trying too hard. You just have to relax and trust that when they're ready, and if they're ready, they'll be there. And otherwise, you want the banana to ripen. In other words, you can take that green thing home, and you can get the peeling off of it, and you can chop it up and put it in your cereal, and you can sort of have a sort of banana experience. But if we were in your shoes, we would let it ripen.
Sounds wonderful. I'm ready for that.
Yes. Yes, indeed.